Hey everybody, welcome into Beer, Bourbon, Baseball, episode 6. Look at that. We are joined by Chris Welsh at Is It The Welsh, ITL's own, and he came fully prepared. Obviously, I have my co-host, Mike Simione, aka SP Streamer, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Mike Kurland, at Mike_Kurland. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Chris, thank you for joining us. What are you drinking and what's going on?
I'm prepared. I came fully prepared. I'm going to put this tweet out. So I even actually went to the store for you guys because as I was explaining, and if anybody followed me on Twitter on Sunday, you might know that I got a little tipsy in my tweets, and that was because I drank all of everything I had in the house. So I needed to go restock because I was yelling at things and people, and old man yells at clouds. So for beer tonight, it's a local brew. If any listener of ITL or mine knows, they've heard from me. This is from Huss Brewing. It's a Scottsdale Blonde because I don't have a good beer palate. I'm the anti-Eno. So I've got that.
Don't Eno on the
Don't worry, I don't even drink beer. So
yeah, I'm not a big that's like my big thing. I'm like, ooh, would you like something very special? It's a Scottsdale Blonde, and it's just like a Miller Lite. And then I decided to just an old staple, Woodward Reserve, but not just Reserve. It's the rye because I'm a rye guy. So I brought some Woodward Reserve and rye. And boys, you just tell me when to start pouring and cracking, and we're good. But thank you for having me.
No, our pleasure. And Mike did you bring the rubric tonight? Because Mike has a rubric where he's been slacking on that. Don't worry.
I've been really bad with that. But I brought Whistle Pig. It's a classic. Me and Chris kind of talked about it last time, actually, when I'm on my podcast. It is dope. I actually love this rye. It's really good.
Yeah, it's their newest one too. That was the one I was telling you that I had brought up to the cabin. I had just picked it up, and like Whistle Pig doesn't usually have consumer-friendly prices on anything because like their main staple is usually about $80. That's like the 10-year. Then they have a 12-year. That's like 130, and then it just keeps going crazy. That was their first foray into like consumer bourbon of like $50, sub $50 they'd call it, and it's amazing because Whistle Pig it's incredible bourbon. But like that's the next step. Like there's like steps of bourbon. I think not that Body by Bourbon, the shirt that I'm wearing. I used to have one of my obsessions was bourbon, of course, and in our ITL army, we had a group on it. But like your first step is you're like, hey, I'm a Jack guy, or like, if you're really feeling fancy or you're on a really good date, you're like, I brought out the makers. Like that's your first step. The next step is you get into like, Woodford, maybe Four Roses, maybe 1792, something like that. And then when you start to get obsessed and you make a podcast called Beers, Bourbon, and Baseball about bourbon, and you want it to be a part of your life, you start getting into like, the unique stuff. You start driving around like it's Bowman 2020 cards, trying to find like the unique bourbon that nobody has. You're trying to find Wellers and everything. And Whistle Pig is a great one to get into.
Yeah, I walked into a liquor store with my wife the other day, and I was like, do I have a problem if I've tried everything I'm seeing on the shelf right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'm saying.
So I think I have one.
Question. This is Brent from the Exville podcast. What shirt is that, Welsh?
So this is we actually have apparel in this league. We don't really promote it. I design all of them because that's the level of like high end work we have here at ITL because I have Photoshop, so that's why it's designed. We've got a Teespring store, and we've got different levels of like stuff we've released. People have seen like my Prospects symbol is my big happy one. But the first line of stuff we ever made was we had this shirt called 99 Problems But My Draft Ain't One, and then we really Bogman and I wanted to speak to everybody and like let everybody know what we're about. So we have a Body by Cheeseburger for Bogman, and then a Body by Bourbon, and it says in this league down there, and it's still available on our store, teespring.com/store/ITL store. The Body by Bourbon, baby.
Might need to purchase one of those.
And last and certainly least, I got beer, and it's Elysian, I guess. I've never had it before, Contact Haze. So I popped one open the other day to try it. I know I'm not supposed to try it live, but man, it was actually really good. I'm getting into these like summertime citrusy beers, and I'm not
like a shandy.
I guess.
I don't know what that means. I'm just trying to sound smart. I'm like, is it a shandy? Is it a summer IPA shandy? Is that what it is? I don't know.
It's definitely an IPA. It's a hazy IPA. I'm not a beer connoisseur by any means, but
We're like the worst people to run.
Yeah,
this
we like drinking. This is our excuse to drink and hang out on a Tuesday night. Like,
I like it. Like, how long have you guys been into bourbon? Because I want you to say like about 4 months, because I want it to be like, we don't really drink a whole lot of beer. We just really got into bourbon, but we like baseball, so we're gonna put all of them together, and that's gonna be our podcast.
We've been drinking. I know Mike's been more heavily.
I haven't been into it that long, maybe a year, but I've gotten like pretty deep into it pretty quickly.
That's what happened. That's 100% me too. I've got this really, really, really bad addictive personality. I'm not. I think I said this on your show last time. It's not like in the worst way, but when I get into something, it's pretty hardcore. Whether it's like collector stuff or bourbon, I go all in. Like Bogman knows this about me. Yeah, 100%. and then it tapers back a little bit. And if it was a true love, I'll still hold it. But unfortunately, luckily this phase, the bourbon phase, is like past a tiny bit.
See, I had that issue actually because for instance, I was watching videos. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna build my own PC. So there's that. And that's kind of the first thing I did. Then you see the Mariners hat I'm wearing. I wasn't sure if I was gonna bring it up. Somebody did mention.
Of course, you were gonna bring it up.
I actually DM'd the Welsh. I call him the Welsh. I can't help it. I DM'd him on the side talking about the Mariners have cutouts for $30. It's like a great deal.
Can we cheers real quick? Because I really want to drink this.
Oh yeah.
Can I pour? Wait, hold on. I haven't poured anything. Hold on. What are we doing? Bourbon or beer?
I'm always bourbon. So
all right, I've got my ITL glass,
and I get my favorite part right into the right there, and I just.
Well, hold on. I don't want either one of you to feel, left out.
You're double fisting, aren't you?
Let's do both here if I can get it. Oh, I like. We got some Elijah Craig out there here. That's a good one. All right, bourbon first.
I wish I had some.
I mean, we kind of just do it all at once.
Okay,
you gotta drink all at the same time.
There you go.
Mine's over here, poured out. I'm slacking.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I didn't pour it that well.
Whistle Pig's definitely one of my favorites now.
It's good. Oh man, the rye. I haven't had Woodford Reserve rye in a little bit. That's so great. Now, do you ice it or do you play it neat?
So I love to do the ice ball, but everyone gave me shit about it. So now I only drink it neat.
See, what you don't understand about the bourbon industry,
I actually do. I'm like starting to like neat better now.
Yeah, well, and you will. What you got to understand is the first rule of bourbon consumerism for yourself is you judge other people. Like that is what bourbon people do. Is you have to. The bourbon is like number 3 on importance here. The number 2 most important thing is the uniqueness of the bourbon that you've purchased and that you've told everybody about it. But number and how much you spent. Number 1 importance in the bourbon world is you make sure to tell everybody how you are supposed to enjoy bourbon. Oh, you can't do that. You can't put Coke in there. You can't put ice in there. That's not how you do it. You can't put that in Weller. Shut the fuck up.
Dave, Source podcast. I always forget his last name, but Dave loves to come in and constantly argue about the whole neat over instead of ice and all that. And of course, my buddy Deegs, he chimed in with, I like the Mariners somewhat until I saw Kurland wearing the Mariners hat. Cool. Well, the reason why I'm a Mariners fan is because I found that cutout. And, of course, me being kind of like that, let's see what happens. So I bought it, got the really funny face. I was like, let me just throw this weird face out there. I want to see myself in the stands, make conversation one day, hopefully. And then I was like, well, now I got to commit to this because I love Shed Long. I love Kyle Lewis. I love Justin Sheffield this year, Evan White. So I'm like, wow, all these fantasy players. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a Mariners fan this year. I bought the hat. Went to the mall. No one even goes to malls anymore. I went to the mall and bought a hat.
That's amazing. You're a Mariners fan because you spent $30 on a cutout, a paper cutout. You are now in the fan base.
Well, now because that's more than what they charge for seats and a beer at that stadium, probably.
I'm gonna buy one. I think I'm gonna buy one because we were looking all around. Like my Diamondbacks aren't doing one, and everyone else is really expensive. And like the only 2 options if you don't want to pay 12-year Whistle Pig price on it is Royals, which not gonna do that. Mariners, they're exciting. Like Julio Rodriguez, love of my life, absolutely love Julio, and same thing. I'm a Shed guy, and I've been talking about Evan White forever. I've been covering the Mariners for years and years and years because their facilities in my backyard. So I can get down with that. I'm not gonna get down with the Royals. No thanks.
And then I was like, well, I'm kind of addicted to this point. Like, I want to commit to this. So I bought a shirt, and it was a custom one that I could have gotten Kyle Lewis on the back. It was just a T-shirt. Could have had Lewis with his number.
So what about addictive personality?
I feel better. I feel better.
Yeah, I went down front. It says Sleepy K on the back. And So it's fully, my nickname's on there. It's coming in.
What you should have done is you should have done Sleepy, like KKKK, and then 1K backwards. That would have been.
Oh, that would have been sick.
K's on a t-shirt.
You what? I know. I didn't say 3, Mike. I said 5.
And then he said a backwards one.
Yeah. I made sure that we were really clear about the K's that we were putting on there, Mike.
I saw you did say more than 3.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna say. I guess I'm deciding. Should we get into the drinking game first? I guess.
Yeah.
We're not there. Oh.
Well, no. We are pretty much not waiting, but I'm just deciding. You know what? I guess we should get some drinks in us more because we have that really depressing news to talk about in Gavin Lux. So before we do that, Mike, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
All right. So, I mean, do you want to explain the game, Mike?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, there might be some new people, you know.
I'll go first, but I don't know what we're doing.
All right,
take a shot.
We're drinking. No, it's called a shot in the dark. And the idea of it is it's basically a guessing game. Mike's going to go down 5 sets of clues. Give you guys who's watching live, if you want to guess and chime in, that's great. Because if you guess before I do, I have to chug a beer. I don't take shots, I chug beers. Classy. And
very classy.
like I said, it's 5 or 6
Super
clues.
classy.
It's on a hitter because that's kind of what I'm strong in as far as analysis goes. And then once he's done, I go same idea. I give him 5, 6 clues depending on how nice I'm feeling. And if you guess before he does, or if he doesn't get it, he has to take a shot. And Chris gets to join in if he wants. If he guesses before one of us, we also have to drink. So it's pretty much guaranteeing drinking.
It's a really good. I'm glad you explained that.
I mean,
when we're sober. That worked better when we're sober. But yeah, let's go.
I'm on like a 3-game win streak here, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
I haven't drank in a little bit. All right, I'll start off.
Get them wrong.
All right, so again, they start really hard. So here's the first clue.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, you need it. Mike starts with like XBA on pitches low and away. Like,
you know me too well.
Oh, really? Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
So it's a hitter. I do hitters. Mike does pitchers. All right. So highest xWOBA against changeups last year, 200 minimum.
200 minimum. So
Facing
he didn't
200
play all
minimum.
year. So he didn't
What?
play all year, right there. I can tell you.
No, that's the min, not the max.
the minimum. So that means he played most of the year.
I don't know because only 200. I feel like that's not a lot of changeups to see.
That's a lot of. I think that's a decent amount.
That's like a decent amount.
I mean, unless there's like the 3 pitchers he faced through 80 changeups in a game.
Well, maybe I drank already a little too much before I started this. Anyway.
All right. So you each get one guess.
Yeah, that's a great stuff.
I'm gonna do Mike Trout. I always start with Mike Trout because one of these days it's gonna be Mike Trout.
I know how these games usually work, and it like the trendiness of it would make a lot of sense to play what's going on in the news. So 200 minimum changeups. Let me just go with Kike Hernandez.
Nope.
Okay. I just want to get that one out of the way until we get to the news. Let's go.
All right. He was second in X slug against all off-speed pitches.
Second in X slug against all off-speed pitches.
I have to apologize. My first 4 are going to be pretty hard, but then it'll
the first 4.
You should get it after the next 2. No. I did 6.
You like how Joe chimed in. How do you not choose Shed-Long right now? It's not Shed-Long. I want it to be Shed-Long.
Okay.
What was it again?
Oh my god! All right, highest xWOBA against changeups last year, and second in X slug against all off-speed pitches. So he demolished off-speed pitches.
Yeah, and Nelly Cruz was guessed, by the way, in the chat.
It is not Nelly Cruz.
Is it Nelson Cruz? No kidding. Oh man, so you always do this. I have a hard time. I'm really bad.
To me, it looks like Welsh is looking it up right now.
Oh no, I'm not.
I'm kidding.
I wouldn't too. I mean, I need to cheat a little bit.
It is not Rendon.
One of the listeners, one of my
not
Gallo. I know. Yeah, you know, I was thinking that, Chad. I'm like, Gallo?
Alonso?
No.
All right, so a good off-speed guy. Oh man, I don't know if somebody already said this, but what about Anthony Rendon?
He just got said. Marty told me.
Oh, he did. Okay, that's why. Oh yeah.
You guessed it. Right.
That's why it was in my brain.
This might give a little more hint. All right. So the third hint is he has hit over 40 home runs twice.
Ooh, over 40 home runs twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering now. Do I think veteran that is on the decline that just did well against all speed? We didn't realize it, or is there somebody I'm missing? Obviously in their prime. That I always overlook some of these guys, man.
Are these are active players, obviously.
Right? Yes.
Last year, duh. Who you said, Nolan Arenado?
Not Nolan Arenado.
40 twice. I don't know if he did it twice.
Listeners get one guess per clue as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. 40 though, man. 40 twice? That's
Yelich?
It is not Yelich.
40 twice. I already guessed Trout.
All right, Mike, you're up.
I know. Bregman?
No.
Only once.
All right. This won't help much either. Had the 14th highest OPS in 2019.
Oh, you have JD Martinez was.
That is the correct answer.
Hey, that is Toby too. That is
JD Martinez. The last two were his plays in the AL East and hits cleanup.
I probably would have went belly too. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm really glad that you brought in the soft stuff for me coming on. I'm glad you brought in the X-Boba against changeup.
That's how I always start off.
I appreciate that.
That is awesome.
Does he win?
I don't know. We'll give him something.
He gets to be a Mariners fan. Congratulations, Toby. You're now a Mariners fan with Kurland.
No, you know what? I'm feeling generous. It's opening day coming up. We'll give him one of our glasses.
Hey.
Well, it's one of these beer, bourbon, baseball, rocks glasses. Congratulations, buddy. But you only win one. So if someone guesses this guy before Mike, it's gonna go to a different person.
We should drink to Toby.
I already chugged my beer.
Right. Okay.
Me and Michael.
Yeah, I got more beer.
I'm always good to drink.
And to the listener that crapped on my Woodford Reserve, they're like, rye, I saw in the chat.
Yeah.
They're like, I got the least amount of rye in any of them. Well, guess what? It's still a goddamn rye.
You know what? That's actually my buddy Fish. Him and I did a main event draft together, actually.
Well, Fish, it's still a rye. A rye is a rye until it's not.
He's a good dude. But yeah, he did. I meant to bring that up because he did kind of poo-poo on your rye there. But
it's like a sub $30 bottle of bourbon. I don't know what you want, Fish. What do you want from your sub $30 rye?
All I know is I'm about to burp for about 5 minutes.
Here we go. Yeah.
Don't throw up.
Every time I chug an IPA,
I know, right?
I shouldn't be chugging IPAs. All right. So here's my guy. He has played for only one team in his career. He was even drafted by that team, like one team literally since being drafted.
Jacob deGrom.
No.
Although
he is a Mets fan, that would have been fantastic.
For his entire career, so I feel like it's been there for a while. Yeah.
Maybe. Or is it 1 year guy? Oh.
Is it including this upcoming year or no?
Yeah, he's still in.
It is.
He's still on that team. I'm trying not to say it.
Yeah, I feel like you're like, no, he's still in the AL East.
I don't even know. Kyle Hendricks?
No.
That was a good
guess. Right. So he's had under a 4 ERA in 2 of the last 3 seasons. These are by the way, these are pitchers, guys. I see people guessing hitters. Yeah. These are pitchers.
You Darvish?
No.
Okay. I don't even remember the ERA, so it doesn't.
Well, don't forget he's also pitched for one team as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Darvish is not a pitch.
Not Bieber, not DeGrom.
Oh my God, you're totally right. Yeah, I was at whether it's like first spring training ones. You're 100% right.
He played for the Rangers and
Rangers. Well, just Rangers.
Was it just the Rangers? I wasn't sure if there was another team between the Rangers and the Cubs. I wasn't sure. I know he had the Tommy John after throwing 8 2/3 of like a perfect game. I remember I was watching that game. I was drafting during that game.
It's not. Is it Jack Flaherty?
Not Jose Barrios. It's not Jack Flaherty.
I already used my stupid.
Here's a bonus hint. You guys are guessing way too high, like upper tier guys right there.
Okay, so loser. All right, good. We'll go to losers.
Yeah, loser, and well, he's a loser, but he has won 10 games or more each of the last 4 years. Oh, 10 or more benchmark for each of the last 4 years. I'm gonna double check that stat while you.
It's a fake
Oh God.
Kershaw?
Trust me, I looked at it. I was like, "What?" Really?
But you said I already guessed Kershaw, and I think someone put Dodgers in there. But you were saying loser, so that's unfortunate. I lost my guess.
It's not Kershaw.
So he's like weirdly
gets
good.
Wins.
10 wins. He doesn't.
We're going to be.
Or
We're
more.
Be super annoyed by the answer, I think.
Yeah, this is brutal.
These are those like weird. These are those hints where it's like middle ground, not too hard, not too easy, just right. Suck it, Mike. If you wait long enough, you'll get some more guesses from the crowd.
Severino. I'm just guessing here.
Severino is right.
All right.
Severino never.
I love the puns, the stupid puns. All right.
Okay.
Did you guess this one?
I'm using all my really bad picks.
He guessed Kershaw.
Where I said Kershaw after loser, and then you said one team, and I said a guy that was on two. So I'm just getting all my really shitty picks out.
So he's played for one team throughout his career. He has under a 4 ERA in 2 of the last 3 seasons, and he has won 10 games or more in each of the last 4 seasons. And this is the one that I see. This is gonna be tough for you, Chris, but Mike knows.
That's a good guess right there.
Yeah, Chatties.
Marquez?
No.
Okay.
And this is, like I said, this is going to be one for you, Mike. I'm sorry, Chris, but he had a slider with a p-val of 13.9 in 2019 and has only dipped below a p-val of 10 once in the last 4 seasons on the slider.
Musgrove?
No.
10 wins, Mike.
Yeah. Damn it. I always like. You got the
loser.
Clues.
You got the loser right, but you just didn't get the 10 wins. I see. Immediately when you said slider, I thought of a guy, but he hasn't been on one team. I'm thinking of slider heavy guy. Damn, man.
The p-val one I thought Mike would get because Mike does a lot of p-val looking, and he's always breaking down individual pitches.
I basically don't memorize that crap though. Don't have any of that memorized.
What it is I can tell you, this is a bonus clue. You don't really talk about him a lot. So I think because of that, this stat would be something you would know if you talked about him more. That's all, but that's not going to help you at all.
And you said an ERA. You said the ERA was under 4 for 2 straight years.
2 out of the last 3.
2 out of the last 3.
2018, basically, he had above a 4 ERA.
Okay, let me throw this out. Marcus Stroman.
No,
that's what I thought too, but he got traded.
God, I did it again. You're right.
I was thinking of Stroman instantly, like right away.
It was a good guess, but not the case. All right, we're gonna move on to there's like 2 clues here. Depends on how I feel about this next one. He pitches in a hitter-friendly ballpark, but has reverse splits. So one team his whole career has had under a 4 ERA in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Has won 10 games or more each of the last 4 seasons. The slider with that 13.9 p-val,
and he's still on that team this year, right?
And he's on a team that pitches on a bad ball. It's a hitter's ballpark, but he's had reverse splits there.
And he's a loser.
He's a loser with a winner's mentality.
You said John Gray.
It is John Gray.
Very nice.
Did you get it or did he get it first?
No, listener.
He got it.
Oh, that was Brian.
I said John Gray. He said John Gray.
Listeners won. Listeners won because they have Google.
That means Mike has to drink, and I have to send Brent a glass. But because I know Brent so well, he doesn't get the glass. I'm kidding. I'll send Brent one. Way to go, Brent. We'll talk.
I'm doing a small shot so I don't get too destroyed.
Oh, you have to do another one. That was wasteful. That was sad.
These games.
I'm really disappointed in you for that crappy shot.
That seemed like a fine shot.
That was decent. That was like a sip. All right. So on to the baseball talk, because this is more of a celebration as a whole. I guess I didn't even mention what we were going to talk about. So this is just going to be more of a celebration. We're going to just have a little bit of fun, talk about guys we own in a lot of leagues, because drafts are pretty much winding down. We're going to talk a little bit about our TGFBI as far as the fab. I can't even talk, man. It's already kicking in. The fab and all that, bold predictions. But before we get to that, Gavin Lux news. Chris, please tell us all about the Gavin Lux situation, at least from your perspective.
I just don't think I don't think it's that surprising. I mean, Gavin Lux is like obviously an immense talent. What he did in the minor leagues, struggled a little bit in when he got to in his major league stint. I saw him in spring training when there was actually a spring training, and he looked fine. He just didn't look overwhelming. But I think you got to look deeper into like the team itself. It's the Dodgers, man. They're built on flexibility. Like it's hard to pinpoint a player outside of Corey Seager. And, and I guess some of the outfielders, but even the outfielders can play across the board that doesn't have flexibility. That's what they want to do. Kiki Hernandez, who's probably going to be the guy that's going to step into that role and had been starting. He's flexible across the board. Edwin Rios is one of those guys. A little shout out to Four Roses there, Toft. Edwin Rios is one of those guys that I think obviously benefits from this, and he's in the mold of what the Dodgers do. This also is probably tied up to, there's some contractual stuff there, and they probably ultimately in a shortened season, there's more value on flexibility. That's why, there's players that are less sexy that some of these NL teams are rocking, but you go and look at like a Joshua Rojas with the Diamondbacks, who can play, literally everywhere. He can play everybody everywhere but catcher. Mm-hmm. Teams are going to find more and more value in that over pressing a guy like Gavin Lux, who, whether they don't feel it's ready or not. I just know everybody's butthurt about it. I'm not butthurt because, frankly, I was avoiding him. He wasn't one of the rookies that I was really tied into, and his ADP just didn't quite make sense. Even if he was a starting second baseman, they're still going to rotate him out for this year in the 60 games. So it's really unfortunate. I think he'll be back early August and everybody will forget about it, but people are probably going to be able to take advantage of the drops that are going to happen with Gavin Lux in some of the leagues that they have. And I would pick him up because I think, August 10th, right around that time, I'll bet you he's back up.
Would you buy low on him in redraft? Because obviously I don't think you're going to get any type of discount in dynasty formats, but in a redraft, would you consider buying low on him?
Probably not. Like I said, I'm not that interested. I don't have a lot invested in him. There's a lot of the lower end second basemen that I've been drafting. And frankly, I play in big, deep leagues, like 20 and 16 man across the board. And I get kind of jacked up if I don't get like Ketel Marte early or, a couple other names, blah, blah, blah. I'll sit and wait and give me my Cesar Hernandez, who's going to be leading off for the Indians. Absolutely. Give me, I don't even like him that much, but Jose Peraza right now is going to be the starting second baseman for the Reds. And there's a stolen base multi-eligibility guy. So I just don't think a guy like Gavin Lux makes sense to go buy on when there's so many other good options. Nick Madrigal has a chance to outproduce him this year if he's going to make the roster with the White Sox just because of playing time. There's just too many options that Gavin Lux, I don't think, sets himself too much apart. Simply because the sample size isn't big enough for him yet. And I just don't think he's like Tatis, but yeah, I'm not buying. In Dynasty, I would. I think it's a great time.
And you actually will probably back this, but there's a chance that your boy, Edward Olivares, I always say his name wrong, probably wrong, but for the Padres, there's a chance that he outproduces and out-earns Gavin Lux and could outperform him all year this year. Assuming he's up with the team this year.
It's one of those I do feel good about. I'm not, I don't tweet about all the victories or losses. I'm more than anything, I'm more satirical and make fun of that type of stuff. Yeah. And we're all victory lapping on everything. But I have a podcast and I have a platform, and if I have one that I feel is warranted, I'll talk about it. I don't need to tweet about it. And Olivares happens to be one of those. I think I talked about Olivares on Doug's podcast, Coaching with Ish. I talked about him there. I've talked about him anywhere that I possibly can to say, listen, dude, Olivares is going to get an opportunity. There's just tiny little roadblocks in front of him. Well, guess what? There's really not. Franchi's out. Is Juan Lagares going to be the guy that's going to take him off? I don't think so, because he's good. The guy can run, and
Lagares
the guy can
opted out.
Yeah, there you go. I completely forgot about that. I was looking at Roto World today, and I was just looking at their rosters, and I was like, well, Lagares isn't going to do anything, and he's not because he opted out. So, Olivares is a good power speed combo that I think he outperforms your boy Franchi there, Mike. This season.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bullish about that already, but I'm sticking to my guns until the but we're gonna get to those. But Mike, you and I actually both own Gavin Lux in TGFBI.
Yeah, I wish Chris told me this before I drafted for that.
Well, that was months ago in our
I know.
Everything was aiming to him, at least playing a good
I'm pissed because I got totally screwed and I didn't realize I didn't have a backup.
Well, that's your own.
No, that's your only second baseman?
That is my only second
baseman, son. And, and I'm guessing waiver, you didn't pick anybody up.
No.
So I will not be winning the TGFBI this year.
Well, 1 week. You can put a claim in.
I know it's only a couple of days, but it's only
an eighth of the season, Mike. It's only 1/8 of the entire season. Week 1.
Yeah, see, unlike Mike, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, I have nobody, and then I went to go look at my team. I'm like, oh, I do. And this is when positional flexibility kicked in. I was a big Max Muncy guy to start the year, and I had him on this team. So I slotted Max Muncy over from first to second. I got Eric Dames off waivers because I think Eric Dames is going to be he's really undervalued, going to have a good, solid year this year. Should be batting just about every day in the middle of the lineup. Plugged him into first base. And then now my utility, it's not sexy, but it's either Travis Shaw, who could be batting cleanup for the insert city here, Blue Jays, or Evan White, who I'm bullish on. So it's not the sexiest utility, but it's not a 0 in week 1, and I can make a move.
It was funny. I just pulled up my TGFBI because I know a few of the players. I didn't just know them off the top of my head, and I looked and I went, "Oh no, second base! I have Jose Altuve, and he just got hurt." But then you want to talk to roster flexibility being so important. Luckily, I had also drafted Jonathan VR and David Fletcher. So there's a little bit, and I got your boy Evan White in there. So too.
See, Evan White, I just love him, and I've heard the comps I hear is like a young Goldie. And it makes sense because you look at his profile and he offers across the board statistics, right? Not necessarily, I'm not saying he's as polished as a Goldschmidt, or I think that's maybe his long-term like ceiling, but that's what I'm hearing is like a Goldschmidt-esque, like a guy that gives you a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, good glove at first base. Would you say that's kind of accurate?
I mean, it's in there. Yeah, ironically, let's pretend in this world there was a segment we were going to do and we all prepared for, like your guest prepared for, and then we cut it before the segment happened. I don't know, like let's just talk crazy here for a minute. Like we were going to do Yahoo pickups of under 30%. I'm just throwing out crazy spitballs here. No actual thing that happened.
Hey, Mike,
I have literally no idea what any of you or either of you are talking about.
Do you want to explain what happened there, buddy?
It's a hypothetical scenario I'm throwing out. It's totally okay.
You can inch off the screen.
No. So in that, I had noticed on Yahoo that Evan White was criminally underowned. Oh, you took him off. That's
he's an ass.
I had seen that Evan White was criminally underowned in Yahoo, only 6% owned as we're recording this, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now he's got a horrific matchup to start his major league career in 3 straight Astros, and he's going to go Verlander, Greinke, McCullers. That's less than ideal, but I've been watching Evan since he was in college, and when he came over, he was actually comped to Cody Bellinger because he's a Gold Glove first baseman that could play in the outfield. He could play first base the minute he was drafted, and that was locked in, and that he might potentially play in the outfield because the power was in question. So in the 2018 AFL, he was out there, and he was on the same team as Keston Hiura. And I had got a chance. He was actually my very, very first interview in the fall league of any of the fall leagues I've ever done. Second athlete interview I've ever had. First major leaguer, right? Kumar Rocker, if people are familiar, he'll be the number 1 overall pick next year, was my first interview. And I talked to Evan about what had changed because he had looked like he was getting under the ball more and he was starting to lift the ball. And that was his major criticism. And my 2 big things were, do you think the Mariners are going to end up putting you in the outfield so they can see you soon? And how are you changing as a hitter here in the fall league? And first one, he was immediately like, nah, I'm going to be first baseman. And if you've seen him play first in spring training 2.0, you know how good he is. The second one is he really talked about his what he was picking up from Keston Hiura. And Keston Hiura is one of these like, low variance, just attack the ball, get under it, swing, big power. And I think that kind of rubbed off on him. And then the next season, you started to see what Evan White was doing. What you want all contact hitters to do, especially a questionable first baseman in power, is you want to see them start to make the turn from batting average to power. You don't really want a power hitter trying to learn to hit better average in the minor leagues. And that's what Evan White did. And he started selling out for power a little bit, and it's working. He strikes out like crazy, which is a problem, and people are iffy on him. I'm not. He absolutely rocked Kikuchi in a week ago in spring training on an off speed.
Much, though.
No, I mean, maybe it's not, but I mean, he's throwing 95, 96 now, and he's still going to keep him off base. And Evan was able to sit on it and crush it. So I believe the biggest question with Evan White as a prospect or minor leaguer was, will he have enough power? And I've always believed there'll be enough power. The big question now is, can he not strike out 30% of the time? If he doesn't, he's going to be a very successful player. And I think in this shortened season, he's going to be one of those dudes. He's going to be one of those dudes. I had him in top 200 back in January, and I've always believed in him. And I'm excited. I mean, ironically, a lot of the Mariners are pretty exciting, but he's at the top of the list as far as fantasy guys go for me.
And that's why the hat, man. That's why the team. That's why it's my thing now this year. But what it is I'm a Marlins fan, so I just know what it feels like to be in pain and misery over these last few years. So I'm just a masochist, and I enjoy the pain and misery. So I picked another team that should sink this year.
Yeah, it's a good team. So keep it going.
Smart.
Marlins, and I actually just bought a Marlins hat with that Mariners shirt, so I'm ready to go to represent these teams.
You should do one of those half and halves. You should just have I got a perfect logo. You do a half and half. You got Marlins and you got Mariners, but then on the brim you got like a little teardrop, just like I
figured you'd say poop emoji or something.
Nah, I'm not that mean.
He's asking if Evan's older already. He is 24, not 25, but I guess that's still a little. That's about right to be called up.
That's not too bad, yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes we look a little bit too much into age. Like he was drafted older as well. Like if the connotation is like, well, isn't he old because he's been in the minor leagues a long time? No, he was just I think 22 out of college, and he played 2 years in the minors. And guess what? They didn't even need to see him this season in the minor leagues, and they bought out that contract because I'm telling you, it's one of those things where like in fantasy, so many people don't care about defense and discount defense. But listen, man, you get a prospect that has got that touch and you want to see more of. If they can play defensively, it's why I like a guy like Brian Hayes with the Pirates. That guy is a stud at third base. He's got huge power. He just hasn't tapped in as far as the big batting average goes, but he can also steal. So give me a guy that isn't going to be taken off the field because of his glove, and then he's back and forth. If I know and I believe in the hit tool and he's good defense, I'm going to go all in. So that's why I'm in on the guys like Brian Hayes and Evan White.
And your fans came in full effect tonight. You got D. Mendy here with the Welsh, my guy. So I figured we'd give him a shout out. He was actually, if I could be wrong, he was the one that I think he got his 1,000 followers today. He was aiming for. Good for you, man. Hope for the best. Obviously,
cheers.
Wish you luck. Yeah, you know what? Cheers to that, man.
Cheers to 1,000.
Cheers to 1,000 and many more, because they come in waves, man. It's awesome. This industry is amazing. The people in it are amazing. And with that, we can transition over to what wasn't amazing for me. My TGFBI fab. I got one guy. I got two guys, and one was on accident because I forgot to take the bid away. But Mike, who'd you put your I can't even talk. Your fab bids for, and who did you end up with, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So I put in for two guys. That was Rich Hill and Kevin Crone. Hill went ridiculous.
He had to go for like 500, right?
Nah, I want to say like 350-ish in my league.
Wow, I'd have gone 400 in mine.
Oh, really? Nah, I didn't go that high, so I didn't get him. And then I got Kevin Crone. I went.
Paid to play, buddy.
What?
Paid to play.
And I got him for like, I think it was around 50, and the next highest bid was like 40 something.
I like that.
That's a good grab. But
yeah,
I might have power upside. Hasn't even been in the starting lineup. They've been giving Jake Lamb.
I know. I don't think they're going to go to him right away. But
here's something I can promise you as a Diamondback fan. Here's one guarantee: Jake Lamb will never play against lefties. There is no hitter that is worse in the major leagues against lefties than Jake Lamb. He is one of the worst players on the planet against lefties. So the positive thing about that, he's also not going to be that good against righties, and it's going to breed more opportunity for Kevin Crone. But I'd also say, like, I love the Kevin Crone pick because Walker's banged up a little bit too, and I think the team could look to putting Kevin Crone in at least half the time at DH, but Rojas is going to be the other guy that's going to get running there.
Yeah,
Lamb's going to be more relevant soon.
And I got to ask, because I'm just going back to the prospect thing, and I have a perfect guy on here to talk about. No, and it's kind of relevant because I don't know how much anybody cares about what I do, but I've been writing up. I look at these lineups. I did over spring training, and it was why I had to jump on the whole Cesar Hernandez being in the top two. It was just a trend I saw in the lineups every day in spring training. But these summer training or summer camp lineups, I take them a little more – serious because we're talking 2-3 days away from the season. These are these ramp up games. These are the games that you put your starters in the main lineup because they're going to see other opposing starting pitchers likely throwing their best stuff or better stuff. So with that said, I guess what I'm getting to a long way of saying that is tonight I looked at the Rockies, and we all know the Rockies are going to Rocky, but they legitimately didn't put in Garrett Hampson. They put what's his name? Oh man, I can't think of his name. I'm blanking.
Tapia?
Rogers?
They put Tapia at DH, and they put Dan
Murphy?
Thank you. Daniel Murphy.
Oh,
dude, I'm a lightweight. Like,
Daniel Murphy should be their DH, to be honest with you.
He was first base today. Tapia at DH. McMahon at second. We did have Hilliard in the outfield, which was nice. But, again, no Hampson. Do you take no stock away from these lineups that we see right now, or is it a little more because of how close we are to the season? And what do you think the Rockies are going to do? I mean, your guess is as good as ours, to be honest, but I'm just curious at your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's some teams that are designed to not have a lockdown DH.
For failure?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe for failure. I mean, the Rockies are so infuriating and frustrating across the board. I'm not going to read too much into it because I think we've looked at the entire like DH and the NL thing a little bit skewed, and I've done the same thing. I think the first thing we do is we're like, all right, who's the DH? Who's the guy? Who's coming with me? Like, who's the guy? And we focus on this one guy that's going to be the DH. We're like, oh, cool. Look at this. Aristides Aquino. Maybe he could be the guy. It looks like he's not. There's another thing that's kind of stepped up. And I think a multitude of teams have this, is there are these players that are super utility that can get full-time work just moving across the field. That's what sets Rojas off to me with the Diamondbacks. Garrett Hampson is one of those players that's going to be able to move around. And I think half of the league have got these almost super utility-ish type players that can get close to full-time at bats. Let's say there's 6 games in a week. They can get in 5, 2 DH, 1 at one position, 1 at another position. And then, maybe it's a half game, or they're just getting another start in another spot, 2 shortstop, 2 outfield, and a DH or something like that. And I think there's a multitude of guys, and Garrett Hampson is one of those guys. He can play the outfield spots, which he's done. He can play second base. He can play shortstop if need be. Ryan McMahon can move around, and you can't put Daniel Murphy out there on a day in to day out basis. He's got a DH sometimes. So then McMahon slides over. Hampson plays second. He can fill in the outfield. Ian Desmond popped out. So to come back to answer your question, like I'm with you. I think you can read stuff into the lineups. Look at the Dodgers situation. Gavin Lux wasn't starting, and then he's optioned. Mike, I see you complaining about Kyle Tucker. He's not starting. Guess what? Probably not going to be that good for him at the start of the season. So there are things to read into, but understanding the roster construction and kind of pinpointing the teams that like to do stuff like this, Dodgers, Rockies, Diamondbacks, it's going to help in kind of you're not freaking outness about a guy like Garrett Hampson, because in the short season, I mean, that guy could steal 10 stolen. He could have 10 stolen bases in 75% of the work, and it's a steal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of feeling confident. And daily leagues, I'm all about it. But my concern is these weekly leagues we play in, like the TGFBI, these deeper formats where you have to. And remember, right now, plate appearances and just playing time is like an asset. It's valuable. And we have a guy here who's just so uncertain that you're going to have to start him on days he's not technically starting, just to hope that he gets those stolen bases that you pretty much are rostering him for.
We're in a really weird spot. We're in this super weird spot right now, especially like us, like at this moment on Tuesday, where like we need, we're drinking on a podcast.
On Tuesday night at 9 o'clock.
We all have issues.
Yeah, we've all got issues. I like, listener chat in the comments. Chat in the comments. We're talking about my Christian Walker story, but like I think, well, I'll tell you that. But like, we really, really need to see. We need to not overreact. And I know the first week of baseball, whether it's in March or it's in July right now, we all overreact our asses off. It's so important because we're all in speculation. I see so many people talking narratives of certainty. They're like, well, this is this, that. And you don't know. You don't know how teams are going to pivot off. You don't know. We still haven't. Teams are telling us these like 5 and 4 man rotations that they're going to go with. We're going to get locked into 6 man rotations by somebody that's not announcing it right now. We really need to see, because yes, Garrett Hampson could not start in the first game, but then you might see what I'm talking about. You might see there's a game at second. There's one in left field. Nope. Now he's a DH. Now he's back in. And all of a sudden, this super utility that doesn't have a home technically has a home across the diamond. So I would say with Garrett Hampson specifically, I wouldn't overreact about him, because he's just a really good cheap fantasy stolen base asset for us right now with some roster flexibility.
I got you. And now I got to hear why Walker, and by Walker, I mean Christian Walker, why he got hurt because of you. And he even references you as the Welsh.
Yeah, that's what I am on the podcast. Bogman only calls me by the Welsh.
Yes.
I rarely hear my name. For some reason, one of the other podcasts I do, the Black Book with Pisa Pia and Bogman, for some reason, we've done, it only shows like 13 episodes because we restarted on a new feed, but we've done over 200 episodes. For some reason, they both just started calling me Chris. And I was like, what the hell's happening? Like, I'm not used to
weird.
Yeah, when I hear Chris on a podcast, I don't respond because I assume it's not for me. So all it is this is a pretty easy one. This was back in, I don't know, late February or early March, something like that. I was over in Diamondbacks camp and on their backfields at Salt River Fields. And, you can get back there. And this was, they were going to get through and they were doing some of their training sessions and they had a bunch of BP going on in the Diamondbacks field. It's really cool because there's like one big field and then there's this side half field that's only an infield. That's for practice. And then you go over here and there's, 4 or 5 or 6 fields, whatever it is. And they're all training. So I'm kind of hanging around. I was talking with somebody and Christian Walker is over here with Kevin Crone and they're working first base on this little half field. And I wanted to talk to Christian here for a second. So he goes over and he's like signing a couple autographs for people. And then he starts to walk over and I'm like, hey, Christian, can I get you for a minute? And he comes over and he moves this little railing thing. And he does this kind of like, hey, I'm going to jump onto the sidewalk thing, this little jump. And he goes, whoop. And he just slips his ass up in the air, legs up, bam, right on the concrete. And he's laying there. And I'm like, oh, and I just put my hand out and I help pick him up. And he looks at me and he goes, they just redid the concrete. And I just started laughing. And I was like, I'm so sorry. That's the funniest thing. We talked for a minute. The next day, and I still have the screenshot of it on Yahoo, it said Christian Walker out with mild soreness. And then that
my God.
And that was how I heard Christian Walker. Yeah.
Way to go.
That's amazing.
So obviously, because you and I are fantastic at tangents. And what I started calling this segment is because by this point, I started getting a little tipsy because I'm such a lightweight that I call it tipsy time with Mike. So thank you for indulging me. Yeah. And
do more shots.
I guess we should get back to your TGFBI waivers or just in general because FAB. And what FAB means is free agency acquisition bidding. So basically, you bid on, everyone has the same pool of money coming into it, has the same opportunity for every player, and you bid a certain amount of money. I should have probably said that before Mike mentioned it. But with that said, did you have any targets coming into FAB for TGFBI, and who did you end up with, if anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy with my roster. I didn't have a whole lot of I wasn't like when I relooked at my roster, I wasn't smacked by a whole lot of, like, Noah Syndergaard and Chris Sale or anything like that. But I had some roster holes. I had a couple closers and a big pivot I've made as soon as Aroldis Chapman got hurt is I wanted Zach Britton, and I wanted him everywhere that I possibly can. And, we actually just did over on the In This League Fantasy Baseball podcast, most recent episode, is Bogman and I talked about our shares. And we went through the shares of players that we had. And Zach Britton, because we redid all of our drafts at ITL, Zach Britton ended up being a guy that was like my second most owned closer because I was getting him all over the place. So I wanted to make sure to get those shares because I do think there's a possibility of a couple things. Chapman doesn't come back for a while. He gets cleared, but takes time. Or Britton is good enough that the team doesn't want to mess with what Britton's doing. And Chapman could even be a high leverage, and it could be a dual situation. So I view Britton as a guy that maybe isn't just a couple saves, but is a guy that maybe could do it for the rest of the season. So I went hard on Britton. Apparently I didn't go hard enough, though I did get him. But I saw some of the numbers that were being thrown out of everybody else. I put 236. So I put just about 25% of my fab on Britton, and I locked him down. And I was actually about $55 to $60 more than the next person, but still there was about a 170, 180 bid on him. And then the other guy, a little bit of a bummer because it was announced today that he was sent down, but I put 70 on Clark Schmidt. So I believe Clark Schmidt is going to get a run. There was a question that maybe Tanaka was going to miss time and Clark would be given the gig, but they went to Michael King, which Michael King is fine. And but they sent down David Garcia and Clark Schmidt. But Clark Schmidt has been absolutely unhittable in spring camp, and he's a guy that I'll hold on to. You know what the good thing is? I don't have to play bidding war in 2 weeks when he gets called up by the Yankees and people are trying to drop 300 or 400 on him. And that's the benefit of it. So I dropped about a third of my fab on a couple Yankees, and I got him. So.
Well, I definitely overpaid for Eric Thames. My team was lacking in power. Not only did I have Gavin Lux, but I had Yasiel Puig. So I was losing some power, some speed.
I put $400 on Eric Thames.
I paid $274 for him because I wanted to shore up the fact that I get him because he's playing almost every day. And we've seen him, if we go back to just 2018, that first month or two that he obliterated the ball, that is his potential. Will it happen? Probably not. More than likely it won't happen. But we're talking about a guy who should have just about every day run between first base and DH, and a guy who, if we kept that waiver wire thing that you mentioned, may or may not have been on this outline. If we kept that, he would have been included. I wasn't sure about either, but he may have been included. Sorry, I've had one too many, Mike. I'm just gonna air it. You screwed us on that because I was already ready. He's off the screen. Yeah, you get Mike. Once you get me, Mike, I'm third person now. Once you get Mike a few too many drinks, he gets a little honest. I mean, it is what it is. Did
you guys think about being Mike and Mike at one point? Did you go down that route?
Mike always says that, and absolutely not.
Because first off, definitely, if there's a poor man's version of anything, it's that. Mike and I would be the poor man's version of Mike and Mike.
I'm just making sure. I wanted to see where we were at.
And of course, Mike's rocking the hat. I told people he's actually part of our SP streamer Mike, we haven't even told people, and you gotta be drinking. But starting next season, I'm kind of like this. I'm just gonna say it. I guess I'm the the vice president of SP Streamer, because we're trying to build that brand. It's an awesome thing Mike has going over there, SP Streamer, and we have a Discord chat. So come join us, man. We're always talking baseball, just kind of like how you guys have yours going over there on ITL, which is awesome. Which, by the way,
it's a ton of fun.
Which, by the way, I do plug on every time I've had you on, Chris. You're awesome, and I do support your work and what you guys do. So the Patreon, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out In This League's Patreon. Him, Bogman, fantastic dudes. Honestly, on and off the air. I hate to sit here and kiss ass, but like you guys are awesome dudes. You guys are just awesome people, and
thank you.
Support what they do. Support their just have fun with them. They give you a bunch of awesome perks. He'll tell you more about it at the end of the show. We'll let him close it out. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, TGFBI. There was a reason for all this.
Like, so, what were we talking about? What was happening? Oh,
yeah. Mike is full on tangent mode.
I was about to say, Michael, I mean, obviously it's not going to happen here. It definitely would be interesting to sit here and do like 2 to 3 hours, like you and me. We slowly sip and we just like let him keep going. And like I bet hour 2 gets really good. I bet Kurland in hour 2.
I bet he gets nuts.
Yeah.
Well, you think Sleepy. Okay, so Sleepy K is a real thing. I fell asleep during a podcast.
I know.
That happened. Like that truly happened. If anybody's like here, and look, you're a guy here saying become a captain. This is one of your guys from your stream, which, by the way, Welsh, thank you for even dropping the idea that you were doing this tonight on there, because that obviously brought in some extra viewers. We appreciate the support as well. And,
oh, yeah. I mean, I see them invading. Like, I saw, like, Marty was, like, talking about the show that we did today.
Marty's
and I was like
Marty's awesome. Marty's in every week. Yeah. He's the best.
Yeah, Marty, honestly, DM me. I'm giving you a cup for free because you're awesome. I don't even care. You are such a great supporter of the show. You're here every week. Yeah, I gotta stop drinking. You're right.
God, Mike's just giving away things.
Pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
My wife makes the cups. She slaves away and makes the cups in the other room. I just give them away. No,
You're just like, yeah, honey, make like 3 more. I just gave a couple away to some people. Get some shipping too.
Even Brent's like, free cups for everyone. Damn it. Yeah, no, but yeah, it's I actually help make the cups. She makes the t-shirt.
Poor Miss Kurland over there.
She won't come on. She's probably watching though. She's probably yelling at me. But either way, so Eric Dames, TJ, I spent like 27% on them, but I needed to shore up power.
You spent 27% on Eric Thames?
I needed power. And I looked at
Give that exact number. 27% sounds fun, but I want you to say the dollars.
274 out of 1,000.
That's so much.
The next highest bid was 100 in my league.
So much.
But here's the thing. If you look, I think it was Zimmerman. Was it Zimmerman that pulled the data? Someone pulled the data, and it showed that somebody spent over $300 for him in the league. So
really?
I wasn't the high man. I expected to be.
Wow.
I was not the high man. Blew my mind. So he was the main guy I got because he shored up power that I needed really badly. Again, this is a 15-team league for those who aren't aware. 15 teams, and it's a deeper format, so the power is going to play for my team. But then the other guy I got, the runner-up, which I've been a Kyle Kirk guy for some reason all season, and he just, I think right before that night, he had a really bad outing, so people have been talking up, I forgot the name of the other guy. But either way, it's kind of a mess over there right now in Pittsburgh.
You mean Keone Kella?
No, well, Kella's out on the IL with COVID.
Oh,
Crick?
He was talking about Crick. You're saying Crick or other guy.
And I'm trying to remember the other guy that was up for saves because
I can't remember other guy either.
There's another guy that's
this is the next trivia question. This is take a shot in the dark. Who is the other guy? First one to win, Kurland's giving another glass to.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Well,
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna kill me. If I already gave
can I say the name?
Go ahead. I'm not. This isn't an actual.
Are we thinking about Birdie?
Yeah, it's Birdie. Birdie was the guy.
Oh yeah.
That was the next. That's kind of been like the next hyped up guy over there for Pirates, and I'm like,
I honestly don't even really think Crick's that good.
He's not.
I think he's the best available. And
I mean, one ridiculously nice pitch, but.
Well, that's all you need as a closer. Do you really need 2?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, if that one pitch is that good, is Crick's one pitch that good that you can?
It's not like out of this world. It's above average, but
yeah, we do too much of that with the Pirates. Musgrove. I mean, Mike, I know you're a Musgrove guy. The Pirates
talk down on Joe Musgrove.
I'm not talking down. I'm just saying,
don't talk about Mitch Keller either. Otherwise,
there's a lot of like
Bye. No kidding.
We're doing a lot. We're kicking people out a lot. This.
Well, you give me power. You give me power. You're screwed.
Yeah, that's bad.
But, all right.
Can we get to bold predictions?
I was gonna say I was just looking at. We're gonna get to bold predictions, and we're gonna cut it from. Unless you want to talk about all of them, I figured we just do one each because we're running a little longer than anticipated.
Yes.
You know what? Because Mike already cut a segment, I'm gonna leave it.
Thankfully I did that.
Well, you're welcome. Well, it's because I talk, and you get Chris and I. I'm using your first name, by the way, because no one else does it, so I want to be unique. But you get Chris and I in a room.
I always
we're gonna talk,
Chris, but whatever.
Chris and I love talking. Mike, this is perfect for you because we have to draw the words out of you. Chris and I can just go.
I should have brought my Yoda globe on here again.
Oh, that just pisses me off. I don't know why. Something makes me angry.
My little DeGrom bobblehead.
Oh, there you go. How's the back?
Yeah. It's stiff because
careful with that arm. Careful with that arm. It's important.
The Mets did real good at his face, right?
Oh my God, that looks like Chucky. That looks like. Have you guys seen the new Chucky Child's Play?
No.
Yes.
The new
great movie.
It's you know what? It's very creative. It is terrifying the decision they had. Like for them to be like, all right, guys, let's change how Chucky looks because this will be the thing that gets everyone excited. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. Like the new Chucky doll or whatever it's called, the Buddy doll.
Yeah,
that kind of looked like the new Child's Play doll. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, a little bit. You're right.
So honestly,
it's pretty creepy.
This is already kind of going amazingly. And wait, hold on, what's going on? I'm so confused. Right? That's like 2 a.m. at the bar and taking a girl home. I don't know where that came from, but I like the comment. Anyway,
at least you highlighted it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what he's referring to, Chad, but I love it. Anyway, so bold predictions. We'll start with Chris. Again, we can do 3, but we'll start with 1 each and go from there. See what happens. Chris, what's your favorite bold prediction? Let's just start with your favorite.
Well, you want to go one at a time through, or
let's just go one at a time. We'll see what happens.
Okay, this is probably the most confident one I have, and I'm a big Robbie Ray guy, and I've been a pretty big Robbie Ray guy.
Are you biased, though?
Yeah, and I mean, I would totally acknowledge that, like, I probably have some bias as an Arizona Diamondback fan, but this is a high strikeout guy, and I think there's a lot of, I call it like the high variance guys, the Ricky Bobby type of thing. In a shortened season, you give me guys that have immense power that the question is average. Can they kind of curtail that? Yeah. Same thing with stolen bases. Same thing would go with strikeouts. And, I would tell people to go check out my buddy Lance Brosdowski had a really good tweet about some of the like physical changes. There's a couple that Robbie Ray's made. First off, weight. He looks a lot skinnier and really goes through kind of like rotationally how he approaches on the back follow, like where his arm used to be really kind of laid out, and he's kind of brought it in to kind of help with control, and he has less of a wild drop after the full release of the pitch. But Robbie Ray is also just one of these guys that the high strikeouts play in this year. And the Diamondbacks are going to win games. And guess what also? He's a free agent. And the Diamondbacks are going to let him fly. He actually had 96 pitches, I think, yesterday. And he went 6 1/3. My bold prediction is, I think, first off, Robbie Ray is going to be the most valuable Arizona Diamondback pitcher, more than Gallen and more than Bumgarner. But I also think he's going to be a top 20 fantasy SP for this year. By the end of this 60-game season, I think he'll be in the top. He'll be in the top 20 because if he can maintain the ERA and he gets those wins with the Diamondbacks, they got some good, San Diego early games on, and they'll be playing the Rockies. That with the strikeouts, with a controlled ERA, if he lowers the walks under 4, that's going to be a pretty big deal. This is a top 20 guy. It's literally a command issue to be a top 20 fantasy pitcher. So that's my dude. That's my bold prediction.
I love it. I actually do. I don't know how Mike feels about Ray, but I just know the potential's there. And if he can get that command under control, pun intended, I guess.
I see his eyes judging. Michael's judging with his eyes. So
I'm not judging with my eyes.
I see judgment.
The thing about Mike is that he's always judging you, and even when he's not.
What?
I have a co-host just like that.
Where is this coming from?
And you have everybody here. I guess
it's Rob. It's Rob.
What's up, Rob? No, okay. So you know who this is.
Yeah, that's Rob.
Sounds good. He's your guy. I appreciate
he's the very first Army member ever. That's his accolade. He's the very first person to ever sign up on our Patreon.
Impressive.
That's awesome. You know what, man? That's awesome.
You should give him a glass. You should give him a glass, Kurland. Wee! No, I'm just kidding.
I only have so many. My wife's gonna kill me. But yeah,
I want to hear some other bold predictions.
Mike. Go ahead with your first thing.
All right, I'll go with my middle one. The best pitcher on the White Sox in 2020 is Ronaldo Lopez.
You love Ronaldo Lopez.
Yeah, I just think Giolito's super erratic, so maybe he has a couple bad starts and can't quite recover from that. And I mean, the only other one who's could possibly beat out Ronaldo would be Cease, but I mean, we all know his control issues, although it seems like he's kind of working on it. But yeah, I mean, Ronaldo's got some good breaking stuff. That changeup slider is great. His curveball is pretty decent when he throws it in there. He increased his velocity at certain points last year, and he pitched, a lot better. He's just got to work on his consistency a little bit. And I mean, with Grandal coming in, and I know he's been talking to Giolito a lot about what he's been doing and stuff. I wouldn't be shocked if he kind of pulls a Giolito actually, and kind of breaks out this year.
Yeah, can't really argue with Ronaldo Lopez. I took him in the main event, and my wife popped in. I popped in on the perfect time where you give more glasses away. Yes, babe. I gave away 2 glasses tonight, and you gave away another one on Twitter. That's 3 glasses.
You gave away 3, I think.
I gave away 3 tonight, so we have to give away 4. So it means I probably have to make more. So yes, if you're watching, I love you, honey, and make those glasses real quick. All right, anyway. I'm kidding. I like sleeping in my bed. I'll try to keep it there.
Enjoy the couch.
All right, look at that.
What? You don't even make them No. We got it all, babe. We got it covered. Anyway, all right. So my first one, I guess I'll start spicy. And you and I, we actually went back and forth a little bit on this one. Was the whole Franchy Cordero has a better year than Luis Robert, and that was before I saw that Cordero didn't even start the first game. He did get some run today with the backups. I knew it was kind of a long shot, but I went with it, and I'm gonna stick to my guns. And my reasoning was simple. Very similar skill sets in terms of power and speed as far as like just surface. Obviously, Robert is better, way better long term. There's no questioning that. I'm not arguing that. Then you're looking at the fact that lineup position. You have Robert likely at the bottom of the lineup, 7th, 8th, 9th. Cordero's projected to be the 7-hole hitter, maybe 8. And both teams have nothing to really gain from or nothing to really lose by letting them play every day. And we saw what the Royals did with Soler. I know it's going to be harder for them to do that in 7 days or whenever they acquired him prior to the start of the season. But there's a very real possibility of that happening. Now, it's a very, very bold take because the more I watch Robert and he's hitting those hanging breaking balls, which at least he's hitting them, because if he couldn't hit a hanging slider, I'd be really concerned. But he's looking really good in camp. He's putting a lot of barrels on the ball, and it's making me second guess this, but I'm sticking to my guns. Franchy Cordero over Luis Robert in 2020. And I'm gonna
Mike convinces himself.
This is literally what I wrote. It's actually my 3rd one, but here's my bold prediction, my number 2. That Luis Robert is more valuable than Franchy Cordero in 2020. That's my bold prediction for 2020. Yeah. I know it's crazy, guys. I know it's it's out there. It's out there. It's a little bit crazy, but I'm gonna really go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say Luis Robert's gonna be more valuable. Kurland and I, because I was razzing him, and we were DMing and laughing about it and stuff, and like. Service level, he's not wrong. Like Franchy's like a bigger
surface, very, very surface.
It's very, very surface. Yeah, very superficial.
You dip your toe in the water, it's like already too deep.
Yeah. Like there's 2 bodies of water, and like one there's a lot of stuff going on under there, and the other it's empty. Like that type of like surface level. Yeah. But like Franchy, he's like an imposing. He's imposing. There is a power speed that's there, but. Yeah, I mean, it's annoying when I do this, and I know I do this sometimes, but like it is one of those things. Like I've watched these guys for like multiple years in person for a while. Like Franchy's been out here in San Diego, and Luis Robert, obviously he had all this like the spotlight on him. He's a guy that I focused on when he came up, and just the hit tool isn't the same thing. Like Franchy doesn't make the type of contact, nor does he have the type of pitch recognition, and it's like the same timeline. It's not remotely close. Luis Robert. Though he can strike out, has a tendency to walk. He makes really loud, hard contact. He's aggressive on the base paths. And you saw it last year in a 30-30 season. Franchy, he just hasn't put that stuff together. So is it possible? I don't think your take is ridiculous because, you piece together 2 very similar physically imposing players. But Franchy has done nothing to really show that he can make that move yet. And I'd also say Kansas City is not the place for that to happen. It's not like a super positive place that I believe that he's going to be able to mature as a hitter. They did it with Jorge Soler, but Franchy's a completely different type of guy. I think Brett Phillips is going to get some run. The Kansas City Royals are still going with Bubba Starling. If people remember Bubba Starling, he was drafted the same year George Springer is, and he hasn't seen a major league game yet. And Nick Heath is somebody that everybody should pay attention to. Nick Heath is an absolute dude. The guy is one of the fastest dudes in baseball. I saw him 4 single Forrest Whitley in the AFL one game, just 4 straight at bats, 4 straight hits on him. Absolutely own him. He doesn't have any power, but he was featured in Trevor Bauer's series he was doing with those like desert home run games and stuff. But pay attention to Nick Heath. So all I'm saying is they do have options to move with that. I don't think Franchy's a guy that gets the full run, nor do I think he's the type of bat that they're going to sit around and wait for. So like I said, bold prediction, Luis Robert, a little bit better than Franchy Cordero in 2020.
You instantly made me regret. Like, I already regretted it a little bit. And honestly, I didn't expect the reaction I got. Like, when I got that, obviously my take was super reactionary. This was like an hour after the trade. The trade went down. Franchy was to the Royals. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, super hyped. Like, I took my shirt off. I was running around with my fat beer belly. And I'm over here like, Franchy Cordero is going to be better than Luis Robert.
But here's what you get. This is what you get, Mike. And nobody else gets this.
I had like 50 likes. I don't get it.
When Franchy hits that first home run in Kansas City, you get to tag all the people and you get to take your shirt off and you get to run around and dance and you get to be like, woo, Franchy Homer, and you'll get that one day this year. You'll at least get that one, probably only one. Probably only one.
Opening day, Franchy outproduces Robert. I win. Like, it's good.
They won.
Yeah. Mike's going to be tweeting victory lap instantly.
July 27th, Franchy has more hits than Robert. Count it.
Done. Game over.
That was my number 2.
I don't know if you saw my wife chimed in. Couch for you. Joke's on her. I like my couch. I'm kidding. All right, so you gave us 2. Mike, I don't know if that was actually your second one. But
I literally have it on my sheet.
Mike, let's rush through these because we're running a little long and I hate to hold up Chris longer than we have to, which I
good. Don't even worry about it, man.
Don't even worry about it. All right, hour 2 is happening.
Yeah, well.
I'm kidding. Mike, what's your second one, buddy?
Mine is that this is a little bold. The Miami Marlins have a top 5 rotation in the league.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Led by who? I want you to say the name that leads them. Say it.
Caleb Smith.
There it is.
I really think that second half was just because of the injury. So I could see him putting up like a low 3s ERA. I really like Alcantara, implementing that power sinker. If he goes towards that a lot more, I think that's great. I always liked Pablo Lopez as well. Again, the injury I think hurt him last year. He had like I think high 3 ERA last year. And then everyone knows my love for Eliza Hernandez. Super raw pitcher. I'm not expecting him to like explode this year, but that slider is filthy. And I think maybe if he just happens to click, they could have 4 really solid starters this year.
I love it. I thought the Marlins could be playoff contenders this year, so I like it.
I kind of agree with that.
I'm kind of a biased Marlins fan, but the Marlins make the playoffs. That was one of my bold.
They got like a scrappy offense. I like it.
I think it would be appropriate the year that you're like not a Marlins fan and you're now a Mariners fan that the Marlins make the playoffs again. I think that would be good.
Because I told you with the shirt, I bought a throwback Marlins hat from 03, so it has like the cool logo with the F and the Marlin. So I have that hat coming in because I'm not a band.
Yeah, but that doesn't count, Mike. I just want you to know that doesn't count. You have a cutout in the Mariners Stadium and you bought a hat and a jersey. You're a Mariners fan now. Sorry.
And it has my.
I agree.
But the thing is, I actually looked at the Marlins first. I didn't see any options. I don't think they're like, how stupid are they? They get 3 fans to the game on average. They couldn't let us do cutouts for them for $30, for $40. That's just stupid, terrible marketing. Come on, Jeter. God, you're terrible.
Sounds like their management.
Yeah, well, I'm frustrated. So that's why, you know what? The Mariners earned me this year. They let me be in their stands with that stupid face I make.
So what's your second bold prediction, Mike?
Well, the Marlins are my 4th one. That was an extra one. My second one isn't as bold as the Franchy one, but I think Walker Buehler, and it's not as bold now because people kind of warmed up to the idea, but my thing is Walker Buehler ends up outside the top 30 in starting pitchers. He actually finishes the season outside the top 30. And a lot of it's based on the early season stuff. He's already being like skipped in the rotation the first week. Like that's already a red flag. He pitched like 2 innings the other day. I don't think he gets his workload up until about a month in, and by then he's so far behind it's gonna take a lot for him to catch up. I think he's gonna be solid, but I don't think he's gonna be good enough to be the top 10 pitcher he's being drafted to be. And I think all it takes is one blow up to kind of screw everything else going on. And he already says he's traditionally a slow starter. So if you pair the fact that he's not pitching many innings, plus the fact that he's a slow starter, you're looking at a guy who could just definitely sink your teams. I have him in TGFBI, and I'm already giving up hope. I benched him week 1 because he's not starting week 1. He's not going to pitch those 3 games. Like, that's already killing you. You're taking him as a top 10 guy. You have to in order to get him. I just don't see it. I think he ends up outside the top 30, not because of talent, but because of situation. And people don't want to acknowledge that, and he should be drafted. Like, I'd rather honestly I'm at the point where I'm like, I'd rather have Carrasco over him. I know it's crazy. Trust me, it's crazy. And that's definitely like we're talking. But it's at the point where, like, Carrasco, he's coming in, like, he has leukemia. And he's like, well, screw it. I'm throwing 6 innings. Bueller's like, I'm a slow starter. I'm throwing 2. Well, screw you, Bueller. I'm taking Carrasco. Like,
leukemia wins. Leukemia wins. So you heard it here on Beer, Bourbon, and Baseball. Robbie Ray more valuable than Walker Buehler in 2020.
Honestly, if those changes, which by the way, I'm very excited to watch him. I signed up for the MLB package and all that. I'm actually gonna watch a lot of baseball these first 2 days. And
except the 7 teams that you'll be blacked out on, but you'll watch all the rest, right?
Yes, but I got my wife's student discount, so it worked out.
There you go. Nice.
But Robbie Ray is a guy I'm actually really excited about because I'm all about tangible change. Mike will tell you I live by that term, tangible change, because if tangible change is followed by like actual positive results, I totally buy in usually. And because of that, like, I'm all in. Like, I like Robbie Ray. I'm really excited to see what he does. And if he finished above Walker Buehler, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I know it's crazy. And again, it's definitely the beer talking. I'm on my 5th beer, and that's way.
I feel like I'm like incepting like ideas. I'm just like throwing ideas into you. I'm like, Robbie Ray is more valuable than, and Mark Kurland's like, yeah, he is. That's my thought now. Yeah, I like that.
I'm going crazy. Well, dude, you don't understand. Like, I'm a lightweight, so you put 5 IPAs into me, I'm feeling it right now. You kidding me? I'm definitely being 100% like just like screw it. I think this would be fun. Now I'm gonna feel it tomorrow morning, but I'm definitely. This is definitely.
Wait till you see the sponsored ad for Pod Decks, Mike. I'm excited to get you like mine.
The one that everyone has from Little League, the Marlins hat. Yes, that's the Marlins hat. The one that everyone has from Little League, because that's the only time that they were a winner. 03, baby. Let's do it.
Marlins.
All right, Mike. Oh, sorry. We're gonna go back to you, Mike, and we're gonna let Welsh finish us off strong. So, Mike, what's your last bold take, whatever, bold prediction?
All right. My last bold take is that Kenta Maeda wins the Cy Young Award and is a top 10 pitcher.
I like that from a Minnesota pitcher. I like that a lot.
That team, that roster, that schedule is terrible. Great for him, but terrible for other people.
Twins are the team I would put money on right now. I think we did the Black Book. We did a pool of where you put your money on for World Series, and Twins would be the first place I start putting cash down on.
Drunk Mike wears his hat backwards. Let's go.
All right.
Anyway. So that's all you got, Mike? No analysis to follow?
No, I mean, I was going to, but, you
go ahead.
Talking, so.
I got a beard.
I just, sat in the background, so whatever. No, I mean, the guy's slider changeup are ridiculous. He's one of few pitchers who had 2 pitches at like a 20 swing strike percentage or over. He's on like every list, I feel like, that anyone ever puts out. His underlying stats are just so good. The Dodgers aren't holding back anymore. Kind of like what you guys said, really easy schedule, even though I don't like to put too much into that. But I just think finally maybe this is his year. And I mean, again, I know it's a little bold, but I feel like if everything aligns right with him, he could easily be one of the best pitchers in the league.
I like that.
All right. Chris?
Mine's a prospect one. It's just another prospect one. Like I said, I'm not a crazy big bold prediction guy, because at the end of the day, when you do enough analysis, the bold predictions are kind of you kind of talk about everybody. But I got one for you that you guys might dig. Is I think there's going to be somebody giving Luis Robert a run, not Franchy Cordero, Luis Robert a run for the AL Rookie of the Year, and I believe Joe Adele is going to outscore Dylan Carlson this year. And that might not be like crazy for everybody, but Dylan Carlson is a love child of many, many people, that he was going to be the absolute no-brainer prospect after Luis Robert that you draft. Everyone's been drafting him. Well, he got optioned. They're really committed to giving an opportunity to Tyler O'Neill. Harrison Bader and Dexter Fowler look relatively locked in. Dylan Carlson's going to get his run, but there's some question marks long-term about, hard hit numbers, exit velocity on what Dylan Carlson really does and how they're going to translate to the major leagues. He's got a beautiful swing. He can run, but I am a firm believer in Joe Adell. I think Joe is ready. He can run if he wants to. He's got massive power that Dylan Carlson wishes he has. It's still a beautiful swing. Might not be a crazy plus 300 hitter, but Joe Adell's one of the most athletic players in baseball right now. And I think I might have said it, Michael, on your show, but like, Mike, I don't believe he's going to be held down by Brian Goodwin, and they want to win. And Trout is toying around still with opting out. I think all things point to Joe Adell having impact this season. Even the team has said so much so. So my bold prediction is Joe Adell outscores in fantasy Dylan Carlson this year.
That wouldn't shock me. I mean, I know it's bold.
Yeah, it's not a crazy bold one.
Well, nah. It's not crazy, but it's not like me and French Cordero, this love I have, this weird infatuation that I can't even say the word infatuation right now. But nothing like that. But
I think Mike's going to pass out.
I hope so. That would be great.
That would be amazing.
My last one is just Josh Hader wins the NL Cy Young. Not crazy bold, but I think having a really good win the Cy Young is crazy. What do you mean? NL Cy Young, it's not that crazy to think a relief pitcher can win it in a shortened season because he could, in theory, six innings a week. And if he's pitching 6 innings a week, he can get a win a week or a save a week, pair that with the elite ratios and the K rate, and we're looking at a guy who outproduces a lot of starters. I just wouldn't surprise me at all if he won the NL Cy Young, and that would be my final. I kind of went from like boldest to like most mediocre take here in this bold prediction segment.
Oh, Mike, I think all of yours were plenty bold. Don't sell yourself short on the boldness of everything that you've said here tonight.
And you can tell, like, I barely have any shares of the guys I'm like fading at all. Like, so obviously we can end the show here, or we offered, and I didn't ask you before the show, so that's on me as a host, bad host, Mike.
Horrible.
But about the whole asking questions thing, we allow guests to come on and ask questions. I wasn't sure if you brought your own or if you just didn't do it. We didn't talk about it. My bad.
I was a little busy writing this theoretical waiver wire conversation that was going to be had. I mean, well, okay, let me toss this out. This is why I might not necessarily have questions for you at this moment. Is this is going to be funny. Kurland, I want you to watch Michael's reaction here from him.
Oh God!
Because if Michael remembers, he's going to be on ITL on Monday.
Ooh!
Does he remember? Michael, do you remember? You're going to be.
Oh God, I did not remember.
And there you go. He even said, "Hey, remind me when it gets close." And I was like, "I'll do that." And this coming Monday, Michael's going to be the first guest on in season because I was just like, hey, let's get you on. So we'll be recording Sunday night.
I won't lie to you, I'm pretty jealous, Mike. Congrats.
By Kurland, we're going to lock you in too. We haven't done all the crazy stuff. It's been a weird year. It's been a super weird year. We don't do crazy booking out on ITL, even though we should, it's helpful, but I try to get a little bit ahead of the curve. And Michael's going to be on in this League Fantasy Baseball podcast on Monday to talk about kind of what happened over the weekend. So we might ask a few questions there. And I mean, Kurland, you what more could I ask of you? You've given me everything. I mean, sleeping on the podcast, Mariners fan on the cutout. You're making the glasses. You're giving away glasses like Oprah. You got hot takes. What more could I ask?
You get a car. You get a car.
Ask me on the show and you'll find out. But no. But in all seriousness, ITL though, honestly, Mike. First off, congrats. It's awesome because I say congrats because you guys have built such an awesome product over there and a show, and I've always been a fan because you've always gone against the grain. The average podcast isn't like what we did tonight. We just had so much fun. We drank on the air. People are watching us live. Like, look at these lushes on a Tuesday night. Kurland's drunk. It's fantastic. Sleepy K turned into Drunky K. It happens. But in all seriousness, though, like, this stuff is like, it's such a change in and what you guys do is just such a change in it's against the grain, like I said, and it's just such an awesome thing you guys do. And honestly, it's always been a show I've really enjoyed because it's just such a laid back vibe, such a different, hey, come hang out with us type of thing. And that's what we wanted to build here on this show, Mike, right? I don't want to speak for both of us, but I think that was kind of the idea with this whole That's why we're inviting guests.
Those judging eyes came back. Those judgy eyes came back here as soon as
he's
Mike, I'm just whatever you say, just assume I'm agreeing with. It's fine.
he's like, you know what, Kurland, shut the hell up. Let's end the show. So also on that note, guys, we appreciate all of you listening. Well, please plug everything you do because it's a lot. I know it's ITL at Is It The Welsh, but please finish it off there. Talk about your Patreon and all that.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's watched on video has seen my Twitter handle at Is It The Welsh. Want to get me to 8,000? Hey, everybody, I'm just like 824 away from 8,000. We can do it. I don't care.
I'm only like 4,000 and change away.
I mean, I might start tweeting angry things again. I did that on Sunday. Not that I was mean, like I said.
How about like your movie take about Saw like 15 or whatever?
Oh my God! I did not realize you knew that.
Well, talk about it on my podcast. I think
I forgot. I forgot about that. Yeah, I pared back a little bit because I was drinking that night, and I was like, hey, you know what would be fun? People do threads. I'm going to do a thread because they were talking about remaking Saw. Yeah, with Chris Rock, and they're like Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. Well, they haven't it's not out yet, is it?
No, not yet. Yeah. Was supposed to be by now, but
so I saved the thread. It's still somewhere on my Twitter. They had announced that this was happening, and I was like, they're gonna redo Saw with Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. So then I got it in my head. I was like, this is ridiculous. They're gonna make this like how Adam Sandler gets all his friends in it. So then for some reason, alcohol, bourbon, beer, I decided one night I spent 2 hours and I wrote a 64 thread tweet of 5 of my versions of the new Saw movies, and I went scene by scene. Michael, I lost like 75 followers that night because I did this. It was amazing.
That would make me want to follow you,
dude. Yeah. I thought so too. I thought it would be hilarious, but I think some people might have had me on like notifications, so it buzzed. So I don't 75 people I lost, and I was like, all right. And that's really funny that you remember that. That I haven't done that.
Amazing.
That's one of my favorite things you ever did. You kidding me?
That might be like one of my most favorite Twitter stories ever.
You know what? I saved it as a Word document, and I'll send it to you guys. You can read it. There's a couple in there. I asked Bogman after, and he was like, listen, this was amazing, and I'm shocked. And I said, tell me your favorite parts, because I had like 3 parts that you don't want to like laugh at your own stuff. You don't want to be the person that's like, oh, I'm so great. But like I had 3 like scenes that I wrote that I was crying laughing at myself about, and I was so happy with, and I just wanted validation. I have the Word document somewhere. I'll send it to you, and you let me know if there's something you like in there. But yeah. I mean, I appreciate you guys. You know, I said it last time with Michael, and I appreciated like a week later when you tweeted about it. But, you know, I'm always honored when people want me on or have ever listened to us or talk about it, because, you know, I always struggle with like my place in the industry, and we're very different. You know, we are very different. And we're very self-deprecating, Bogman and I are. And, you know, sometimes we go heavy. Yeah, and I know some people do. And sometimes we go.
By the way, Chris, did you listen to my podcast with Spore?
No. When did you do that?
I tagged you in it.
I don't. When? Was I drunk?
Maybe. So I had a podcast with Spore.
Oh, yeah. You said like you guys. We
tagged you.
I get weird about like I don't want to go and listen because you guys talked about me or something like that.
But anyway, he literally. So I asked him. I said, "What was one of your favorite podcasts you've ever been a guest on?" And obviously he said you guys.
Oh, that's funny.
And then he literally told the same exact story you told me on my podcast.
Oh, really? Like about
how,
being with friends and stuff?
That player or whatever, he like randomly told you about mentioned the player, and then you were like, oh shit, he listened to our podcast.
Oh yeah, the Dallas McPherson story.
Yes, he told the same exact story. It was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, I love that's really cool, and I appreciate that. And I love Spore, and I love like meeting people in the industry, and that's what's so cool. So like I said, I was really like touched that like that meant something to you, not the talking about us with Spore, but like that you had been thinking about what I was talking about, because I think a lot of us struggle, whether it's listeners that a lot of listeners, and I experience it a whole lot. People see what we do, and they've seen some success, or they like to write and they want to do it, and people feel that they can do it. But a lot of people kind of struggle, or they get really hardcore about it and then they dump off because people just don't know, like, how do I start? Who likes me? Am I good enough? Blah, blah, blah. I struggle with that from this day. I have a perception of where I think we are, and whether that's good or bad and where it is, it doesn't really matter. So like, Kurland, you say nice things. That means so much to me. Mike, are you guys talking about us or taking to heart anything? Like, it's cool to have people that have ever listened to us or like to listen, or people that sign up with our Patreon. So again, I would just reiterate that. But in this League Fantasy Baseball podcast, we do other sports. I do Prospect One. It's my prospect podcast. It's a solo pod. Sometimes I do solo episodes. Sometimes I have prospects on, actual prospects. I've interviewed guys we've talked about, like Evan White, Joe Adell. Sometimes I have industry people on. And we do have a Patreon. It's just inthisleague.com. We just do a whole bunch of stuff. We do comedy shows, live streams. We do ranks. If you guys want to check it out, you can. If not, just listen to the podcast and subscribe. And we are waiting until we had a. All right. Can I do one thing? I know we got to get out of here. I got to do one thing because somebody made mention of this. I want to say it was Marty. We try to have as much fun as we can, because the one thing I think that's missing from fantasy so much is fun, because we get really locked into all the stats.
Was created, man. Be honest.
Yeah. We get locked into the stats and we get locked into all the stuff. And like one cool thing we're going to do on Thursday is we're going to wait till the games finish on Thursday night. Bogman and I are going to react after and drop our latest podcast on Friday. So if people want to look for it.
What are you doing?
Now we're just looking at Kurland. Boy, Kurland.
We might have to kick him off.
All right. I'm going to share something. This is the epitome of what we're about. I'm going to share my screen here in a second on here. This is the epitome of what In This League is about. If you like us or not, my co-host Bogman, close to 80 times Carl's Jr. for every loss that happened for the Diamondbacks last year. Some people know about this. Some people don't care. And it's going to happen this year, but the inverse. And we're going to have, we want to have so much fun as possible. One of our listeners commissioned this video, and Marty was saying, oh my God, the intro to this week's episode was so great. And he's referencing this thing that I'm about to share, and it's going to be on screen here in a minute because I can share the audio here. He purchased this cameo for Bogman, and I want you to hear this. I'm playing this on your show here. And this is from MLB player Eric Burns to Bogman for the In This League Fantasy Baseball podcast.
Yo, Scott. Eric Burns here.
Is he on the treadmill?
He's on a bike.
Some from the trainer. Hey, listen, man. I can't tell you how proud I am that you say you're going to go ahead and run or walk the run differential after each D-backs loss this season, especially after all that Carl's Jr. you slaughtered last year. Keeping yourself in misery. So it's a good comeback, man. It's the first step. But kind of like I tell my kids, dude, the words are hollow with no action. So just make sure you go ahead and hold yourself accountable and check back in here shortly, man. But overall, I like the commitment. That's it, buddy. Go get them. Go get backs.
That's amazing.
It's the epitome In This League right here. We will waste our money to get cameos, to make ridiculous shirts, whatever we can do to entertain you.
That's awesome.
That's what we're all about.
Like, I already loved you guys. That was amazing.
That was amazing.
Oh, God. And then you have here your boy Chad. Fourth time I heard it today. Better every time. Chad, you ain't lying, man.
Wait till you see the reaction. I have the whole video reaction of Bogman. It's going to be up on our Patreon. It's amazing.
I'm not just saying this to butter up even more, but I actually have your pod still queued up because I don't know. I've been just really busy. I haven't listened to any other pods besides the own ones I make, but that was one I was like, oh, I saw like celebrity like in the titles.
I ruined it a little bit for you then. I ruined it for you.
No, it's okay though, because I can picture Bogman going crazy, like, oh my God, because he gets a little like this is too much. Like, why are you doing this? So I can picture and that's why I wish I was trying to get both of you on tonight, because it would have been chaos. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah, it would have been.
But yeah, we're gonna do it again. We're definitely gonna have to have you on again. So Chris, we appreciate you joining us again. As always, you can follow him on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh, Mike Simione at SPStreamer, myself at Mike_Kurland. We appreciate you joining us and listening, guys. And whoever got a free glass, I lost count. DM me. My DMs are open. So until then, guys, we will talk to you soon, and we appreciate you listening. Have a good